Good evening. Hello from New Jersey.
Hey everybody! This is our second live together.
And we're still giving it a try to see how it goes. Hopefully it goes pretty well.
So I don't know if a lot of you know this or not, but November is National Adoption Month. And so we have shared from time to time, hey Corinne, we have shared from time to time about our journey through miscarriage, infertility, and adoption. And we kind of wanted to share like more in depth with you all because I know there's a lot of you that have been through it, and definitely want to hear the guys' perspective because guys don't really talk out how they're feeling when they go through something like this. And when you go through these kind of things, you're not going through it alone. We're going through it together. And we just kind of wanted to share what God's done in our lives and be a blessing to you all. So there's a bunch of you on here, and we're going to talk tonight about miscarriage, and then we'll do the rest later this month. So our miscarriage. Okay, let's talk first. We got married in 2000, August 5th, 2000. And we decided that the best thing for our family was to wait to get pregnant. You were going to seminary. We had no money.
We were going to seminary,
no money,
working for a school in Florida and making no money there for sure. And then transferred to a school in Tennessee and making about, I think, $8 an hour mowing lawns. And thankful for the employment. But at that point, that covered the rent, that covered our insurance, and that covered the school bills and some gas, and that was kind of it. So we decided that at that point, fiscally, it just wasn't a wise choice to consider even trying to start having a family, especially not until we finished up school and we were heading towards active duty in the Air Force at that time. So That was kind of the reason why we decided for, I guess if you would, family planning, that we should wait just a little bit longer until we got settled and had insurance and those types of things.
Yeah, so we moved to Tennessee, and I remember one of my best friends, Cher, she was pregnant and she had her first baby, and I remember and then I found out another friend was pregnant. I remember coming home from seeing my friend in the hospital and just crying to you. I don't know if you remember that or not. I'm like, I'm ready to have a baby, and I was ready, but you still wanted to wait till you went on active duty and had the medical benefits and all that. So we moved to California.
What a jerk, making us wait to try to have a family where it's responsible.
So we moved to California, and you got your first active duty job, and I remember one night, you took me out behind our house on base, and there was a little path behind our house, and you told me you're ready to start a family. I couldn't believe it. I remember crying and just so excited. And so we had no problem getting pregnant. We got pregnant right away. November, I think, was when I was pregnant.
I had gone away on a temporary assignment for, I think, 5 or 6 weeks and came back. And
oh, yeah, and you took me away and got pregnant.
It's crazy. Who knows how that happened?
So we volunteered at a coffee shop on base. So those of you that were at Travis Air Force Base with us, there's a coffee shop on base. And I just remember, I was so early along that I don't remember feeling pregnant, but there's something inside of you that when you know you're carrying life, it just feels different. Everything's different. And I remember just having that for just a short time, but just that, I don't know, just knowing life was inside me. I remember volunteering in the coffee shop with just an extra kick in my step and just thinking this is like the most amazing thing in the world. And then Christmas came.
Well, we had gotten the pregnancy test, and it showed positive. Mm-hmm. And ironically, on the Facebook memories, once in a while that picture pops up. But we had found out we were pregnant, but we decided not to tell anybody right away,
right. Okay.
Just because we weren't sure exactly how it was going to all work out. So we didn't. We kind of sat on it. And then we got to around Christmas.
Christmas Day. Year. Well, Christmas Day, you gave me a necklace, and it was a wish pearl. I don't know if you remember that. I still have it. And you get to open up your oyster, and you don't know what kind of pearl you'll get, what color pearl you'll have inside. And inside, mine was a light lavender pearl, and the little card that came with it said that one meant love. And I thought, oh, how cool! Our love made this baby, and just cool little things that we were able to hold on to. Well, still Christmas Day, we had plans to go to the hospitality house. That was our friends who had a military ministry off base, and they opened up their home to the military all the time. And so we were, I think I started bleeding at home before we went there. And I thought, oh, I don't know, tons of friends that, have had babies, or had bleeding or whatever. So, it was one of those, like, I don't know what to do. Let's go to the hospitality house. Let's ask our friends there, because there were some nurses that were going to be there. And actually, maybe beforehand, we call the nurses hotline, and they said, if you're bleeding, I think for more than 3 days, you're supposed to go to the ER or something. So anyway, we went to the hospitality house to enjoy Christmas, and I pulled one of the girls aside, Jenny Wingate. I don't know if she'll be on here or not. And I told her what was going on, and she said, I think you should call the doctor. So I think we did give it a couple of days. Mm-hmm. Called the doctor, and went to, did we go to the ER?
We did. Did we go to the ER at Travis?
I'm trying to remember all the details.
I remember being back there behind the curtain. And,
okay, it was the ER. We have been in the hospital a lot with our miscarriage and infertility years, so it's starting to all kind of blend together. But yeah, but we, it was one of those, they send you home, and, you're supposed to kind of monitor yourself, then you call back. And anyway, I kept bleeding, I couldn't stop bleeding, and basically ended up, after a number of times at the doctor, basically they said that my HCG levels were rising, but they were not doubling every 2 to 3 days like a viable pregnancy, and that basically our pregnancy was not viable, and that we should go ahead and end the pregnancy, basically.
Terminate, I believe. Terminate was the word they used, yes.
And I think in my mind, I was thinking, oh my goodness, like if my levels are rising, like that baby's still alive. Like I don't want to terminate our pregnancy. Like that doesn't make any sense. So in our minds, we're like, no, we're going to keep moving forward with this. Just keep going to the doctor, keep monitoring. And so had test after test and all that stuff done. And then finally, the head doctor at the clinic on base, he brought his partner in, and they both basically both sat down with us. They're like, your body is a very dangerous territory right now, and you have what's called a blighted ovum, which basically meant the beginning stages of the baby started to form but never formed completely. And so basically after a month of bleeding, and the doctor was basically saying, your body's become dangerous, I think I knew then that we were just keeping this going for us, but really this pregnancy wasn't going to go anywhere. And I think we just needed the advice of the doctors kind of towards the end there, just reminding us, okay, this pregnancy is not viable. You've tried for a month now and you're still bleeding, and now it's becoming dangerous. So
yeah.
Had a D&C. We had the choice of a couple options. We chose the D&C. It was like heartbreaking, like still feeling, I remember even after knowing that's what we were supposed to do, I still remember thinking, oh my goodness, we kind of ended our own pregnancy. Like it was so hard to it's such a hard thing going through a miscarriage and knowing what to do, especially if your body's not miscarrying on its own. It's so hard to make that decision what to do next. And that's why you have to trust the doctors that, they know what to do next. And it was hard. It was horrible. I mean, you go through all these emotions of regret and guilt and what did we do wrong?
I remember calling our family. I actually called my dad from work behind closed doors in my office the day we found out that I think we were going to have the D&C. And say, hey, I got good news, we're pregnant. And then I said, I got bad news that the pregnancy is not viable. And I remember that emotion of just basically telling them that heartbreaking news. At the same time, we were telling them, hey, congratulations, you might have been a grandparent. And just seriously, just breaking down on the phone with my father while I was at work behind closed doors in my office. And never forget that day. At the same time, in my line of work, being a chaplain, making hospital visits all the time to some of my troops that had children, and seeing all types of folks with kids, and some that didn't want them, and some that maybe shouldn't have had them, being nice, but just all kinds of stuff. So you go through the roller coaster of seeing all those other things going on, and then find out of the loss that you're working through, and felt very isolated. maybe as a couple, we felt very lonely. We had great friends, we had good support.
We didn't know anybody who had miscarried. This was 13 years ago. A couple of my older friends came out of the woodwork and they're like, hey, we miscarried years ago, but we felt all alone. Like all of our friends were having pregnancy after pregnancy, and we didn't have like a support group like we do now of people who've been through it.
I think the irony, and just for brevity, keeping our time moving here, that we look back and we see, as heartbreaking and as difficult that was, that it seemed like nobody else was going through it. Now that we've gone down life's road a little bit, we've been married for 16 years, we've interacted with literally probably hundreds of people dealing with this type of process, whether it be miscarriages, infertility, or adoption. How many people have had a miscarriage, and yet how taboo it is, whether that's in a church type setting or in the secular setting. Statistics are very high that the number of people that will get pregnant that actually have miscarriages. And I just have to wonder, why is that not a topic that's addressed more often? Or there are support groups or opportunities for people to be able to just kind of share their heartaches or the things that they go through with others that so many others have gone through already and understand maybe some of the heartache and the pain. So one of the goals that we have of what we're trying to do, just by simply sharing our story and being transparent, because really we've got nothing to hide. We're really open books, honestly, is that if you're going through a difficulty and you're not quite sure who to turn to, you're not alone, and we want to encourage you that you can reach out. If for nobody else, you can reach out to us as a couple or individuals, and we'd be more than happy to just talk with you, to listen, to encourage you, to pray with you. No judgment, no questions, we're just here for you. And that's why we want to share our story a little bit about miscarriage tonight, and then later on we'll share this month about our journey through the infertility process, and then we'll talk about adoption as well. And one of our goals, we've come up with a website of sorts that we can post on here later on dealing with that very topic. We've decided to call it MIA to Hope, Miscarriage, Infertility, and Adoption to Hope Ministry. And so basically the idea of MIA, like the POW MIA mantra for the military, of missing in action. Sometimes when you're in these categories, maybe you're like us, you felt like you're just missing in action and you're living your life and nobody understands anything that's going on, and life is still revolving 100 miles an hour around you, and you just feel like you're lost. And so we want to make sure that you don't feel lost, that you have somebody that you can reach out to and share information, share conversation, share compassion, share love, so that there's connections for you, and that you realize that no matter what's going on, that somebody's still got your back, and that you're not having to go through it alone. We'd be happy to be that resource point for you. We don't have all the answers. We've learned a lot through the School of Hard Knocks and through trial and error on our faces a lot of times, but we want to help be able to be a burden bearer with you and for you, and to help sustain you. As we've also learned that through the friends that have supported us, and obviously through our relationship with God and through our faith in Christ.
The next time we get on here, we're going to talk about infertility. And the crazy thing is after I had my D&C, I remember the doctor telling me that, I should be good to go. We'd have no problems getting pregnant again. And, that those are the words of a man, of a human being. And, only God knows, what's going to happen next. So that was kind of like the start of our next journey of infertility. And that was a much crazier of a ride. Infertility. We had a lot of highs, lots and lots of lows. We had a lot of support. I would say those were the highs of our infertility, was people that rallied around us and prayed for us. But I don't know if you all have any questions. If we can stay on for a couple more minutes because we don't want to take everybody's night up on a Tuesday night. But if you have any questions, about what we've been through with our miscarriage.
If you have friends that, or family members or loved ones that may also be struggling through this and you're not quite sure how to help them, feel free to push them our way, route them to us.
We made this live public, so you guys, I guess, can share or tag people or however that works.
And feel free to. We're totally open books, and we'll try to figure out how to post this to our website and also to our Facebook group, MIA to Hope. Look that up if you want, and feel free to like us, and that has a lot of information and stuff in the archives there for data and resources as well that you can grab and share with others as well.
But I would encourage you all to grieve, however that is. I mean, every year he sends me a card that reminds me of that child, that our child's in heaven. Like, that's not something you just dismiss and forget about. We have friends that did a more personal grieving process for their baby that just miscarried, and that was something that they decided to do as a couple and involve their children. You do it however you want to do it to grieve and to honor that child. And you just allow yourself to go through emotions of what you're going through. But, reach out to your girlfriend, or if you're a guy, I don't think you reached out to anybody back then. And I don't know if you ever worked through all that, but I think if you're a guy, you do
definitely don't hold it in. I know we as guys oftentimes, maybe gals as well, I don't want to speak for you, but we just hold it in. We don't want anybody to see our vulnerability or our weakness. We have to try to put our game face on so that nobody sees us. But it's a loss, and it's a loss that is just like losing a person that you may have loved for a long time. It's part of you. It's part of who you are, and if you don't allow yourself to grieve a loss, it will affect you. It'll mess with you later, and you can only cram something in and hold it down for so long before it has to let the pressure loose. And
do you feel like, because and this is kind of what I think too, that guys and girls handle it different, because it was my body, and you probably didn't know how to, you probably didn't even know what was really going on in my body. And I'm, I think that's where there's a separation sometimes with the man and the woman going through something like this, is because, it's probably hard to understand each other, because for me it was a physical and emotional thing. For you, it's probably more emotional. And it's.
Yeah, and again, somebody asked the question, how many miscarriages did we have? We only had one.
We only got pregnant once and miscarried once, and then after that it was years of infertility.
The emotional effect that it's had on us just at one time, I can only imagine what somebody has dealt with that's gone through multiple miscarriages. It just breaks my heart and pains me for them to think about it. So, again, we're here for you, and we just wanted to share a bit of our story. We probably could go on for more about this, but we won't.
And Tracy, Mike can reach out to Cliff. They met each other on the cruise. If he wants to reach out and just, talk about whatever, he can. Yeah. That's what we're here for. We want you guys to talk it out with us.
Try to knock some of those walls down and make it more willing to talk about and less taboo, to be able to address these very topics and allow people to find hope even in the midst of difficult times, or in their grief for their heartache, or maybe years down the road it's a scar that just doesn't want to heal on their body. And we want to try to help them in any way we can. So please allow us to be that resource for you.
Yeah.
So with that, it's been a longer than we were planning on going, but we just wanted to say thank you for taking the time to join us tonight, and appreciate your love and support in our lives, and we look forward to seeing you down the road. God bless you guys.
And post anything else you want down here. Bye, guys.
Take care.